Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Unmedicated Disaster. My name's Al.
And I'm still Danielle.
Still?
Still.
I thought you'd change your name by now.
For now.
Okay. Well, anyways, hope everybody's having a good day, weekend, whatever time you decide to listen to this podcast. Today we're gonna start off the show. This is not a show,
The
right?
show, the experience.
Yes. So we're gonna start off the experience with a big old spoiler warning.
So we are going to be talking about some relatively recent films of the Pixar and Disney variety. So if you want to check the titles, we'll have those down in the description or over in the description, wherever it is that you'll find the description on whatever platform you're listening to. So if you haven't seen any of those movies, don't listen to this yet.
Yeah.
Listen to it, but go watch the movies, then come back and listen.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely watch the movies first. Um, but today we're going to be talking about one specific movie overall, and it's a recent one that just came out by Pixar called Turning Red. Now, the people who are still listening, I'm sure you've already seen Turning Red. We did.
And if you haven't, go watch it, then finish this episode.
Yeah, I'm biased. I'm a Pixar man, so I'd always say watch every Pixar film, except for maybe like Cars 2 and 3, because those were I think
Weird,
they were
weird money
forced.
grabs.
Yeah, they were forced. They weren't like consensually made by Pixar. I think Disney kind of like cracked the whip on them and had them do those two movies or
Well, you have
something.
to be really considerate of Disney. They needed money. They
They
had to sell
always
those
need money.
toys
Yeah,
because the billions of dollars they get
that's
is not
literally what
enough.
Cars was about. Was just marketing and making profit off of toys.
Well, the original Cars that
The
checks out.
original Cars is fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
but
other ones.
the ones after that were.
But I mean, NASCAR, so it checks out.
Yeah, well,
With just wanting to be a money grab and have people pay you for things. It's
but yeah,
fine.
but
It's
yeah,
fine.
we saw Turning Red. And the thing that I like about Pixar is they tend to go after your throat. Um, they definitely get you in the most vulnerable parts of your life. You know, and it's if you watch Pixar films and you feel a little too strongly about something, it's probably because you need therapy. You know. Uh,
And that checks out. I mean, if we are talking about this podcast where
yeah,
everyone involved needs therapy,
yeah,
so
yeah. I don't know.
everything checks out so
Yeah,
far.
like if you ever seen the movie Up, you thought, okay, this is a movie about an old man, a house, and balloons. And in the first 15 minutes, Pixar decides to go after people's throat and make them cry.
Yeah,
It's a children's film.
that was a little bit much because I come into the Pixar movies like I know basically what they're about, and then of course Al's like, you have to watch all of them because he likes to watch me cry.
I did.
It's his thing.
I like
Uh,
I like making women cry.
for legal reasons, that is a joke. Uh, just just to cover that real quick, that is a joke.
It is a joke.
But he does enjoy seeing people have emotional reactions to their first viewing of these films that he feels very strongly about.
Having come from an artist background, and loving, the idea of how a story can connect with people and really, and not just like, oh yeah, I can relate, but on a more deeper level. That kind of power, that kind of magic is incredible. That's why I love Pixar so much because even if it's a short, like I had you watch Kitbull, I think it's what it's called,
Oh, forget
and you
that.
literally turned to me. So for anybody who doesn't know, we come from a shelter environment. So the fact that she didn't, I just didn't say anything about the little short film. I just said, "Here, watch this," and she halfway in stops it and looks at me and goes, "Are you fucking serious?"
It's like, you, the horse you rode it on, and
Yeah,
this movie.
and it wasn't that it was bad. It was great.
It
It was
was,
just
yeah, it's
Pixar has a tendency to go after people's throats.
it was a little bit much coming from our sheltering background. Because I'm like, oh, yep, that's something's terrible is gonna happen here. Yeah, oh, and then it did. And then I was absolutely correct. But then, of course, like a millennial woman came and saved the day, as you
Yes,
do with
yes,
beat up stray
yeah.
animals.
And they don't like most of the shorts have nothing to do. Like they all have their own different subjects, and they go after your throat in every which way. One might go after a family. One might go after like growing up.
I feel like just from what I've seen in Pixar, and I'm not the expert here, I've just been consuming this recently.
Yeah.
Um, there was the one, I don't remember all names, but about the two guys who were in a relationship, and the one
Yes,
guy
that's
was not out to his family yet,
right.
and it approached a very difficult topic. That's difficult for maybe for young people, but also for adults.
Right.
But it approached it in a very what's the word, an accessible way. Like
Right.
instead of it just being, hey, here's a sad story about this situation, it was what is it called, Out?
I
Maybe.
think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll double check that. It's called, I think it's called Out. Where it takes the story goes in such a way where like the guy swaps with like his dog, and it's like this cute kind of funny story, but it's also approaching a very serious topic.
Yeah.
And I think that Pixar has a way of doing that.
Yeah. They
Um,
they've mastered the effect of doing that.
yeah, and I
They've been
think they
doing it
don't
for years. So
they don't just do it with like the actual dialogue or the story. It's also the art and the
uh-huh.
scene that they set for you. It all kind of ties together.
Yeah, and of course they make it child friendly. They put some jokes in, and this is what their main topic's going to be about when it comes to the movie Turning Red. It's deep down to its core. Yes, Pixar, that's owned by Disney, unfortunately. Um, they make movies for kids, but there are underlying themes that kids won't understand, but adults do. And this isn't something new, because I know there was a lot of people that were giving very bad reactions to Turning Red. But growing up, and you can probably relate to some of these too.
I can very much relate to Turning, because what we say, it takes place in 2001,
Well, yeah, but
and they're
I mean,
13.
like, just it's not just like Pixar. There's lots of cartoons that I watched when I was young, and I was like, haha, this is funny. And then I grew up and I go, oh, I didn't catch that when I was young. Like,
Yeah.
it's the same episode. Nothing's changed. It's just I'm an adult now, and I get the jokes that they put in there that I didn't as a kid.
Well, I
You know?
think Pixar especially, and Turning Red is a great example. The generation that grew up with like Toy Story,
Yeah.
Bugs Life, those first Pixar films.
Right.
Now they're our age, they're my age. So telling a story like Turning Red, where you have a group of girls who are 13ish
Yeah.
in
12, 13.
2001.
Yeah.
How old was I in 2001? I was 16 in 2001. Spoiler alert. So like I can very much relate to this era, this experience that these girls are going through.
Right.
And I almost feel like Pixar is looking at that and saying, okay, for all of you who grew up with our movies, we're going to make this story that yes, a 10 or 12, 13-year-old kid can watch today,
Yes.
but we're going to make it hit home for you
Yeah.
in
'Cause
such a way.
the kids when they see the
so
movie,
it's twofold that
oh
way.
yeah, the kids when they see the movie Turning Red, they're like, oh, look at these, lovely pastel colors. Everything's very
Oh,
cute.
and
The
May's
red
so cute when
panda,
she,
you know.
you know.
There's a lot of there was so many funny jokes, and now the movie has turned into a meme. Like people are using the facial expressions that they use in that movie as memes, left and right. Like I do not wake up any day that I don't flip my phone over. Oh, but nobody flips their phone over. That was back in the day.
I think
Yeah.
Al just dated himself too.
Yeah. So,
With his flip phone over here.
but yeah, but like I'll go online and I see meme faces all over the place from Turning Red. What got to me though was before Turning Red even came out, and you couldn't log into Instagram, Twitter, whatever, without people shooting down the movie before it was even released, before people even saw what the movie was about. And Pixar has a good um repertoire, right? No.
History?
They have a good okay, so Pixar has a good history of not telling you what this movie's going to be about. They give you hints, but unlike there are studios out there that they release trailers and you're like, I know exactly what this movie's going to be about.
Here's the entire plot.
Here's the entire plot.
But for Turning Red, I feel like a lot of the promotion stuff, all you see is this fluffy red panda. You see these girls. You see the colors. I think you could kind of tell it was Toronto. I'm not even
Yeah.
sure, but you can tell it's going to be, um, an Asian-led film.
Hmm.
Um, Chinese.
Chinese,
Chinese.
yes.
Yes, sorry.
Yes.
With Chinese main character, Chinese family. You got the gist, and even without knowing what was going to happen to these characters, where this panda necessarily came into play, the family story, any of that, people saw bright pastel colors,
Hmm.
a cute furry animal, and girls, and that was enough.
They and that was the thing that it made me laugh, and it also made me so pissed. Is it's most of these people that were complaining about the film before it even came out were guys. I'm calling you guys out. It was guys, and I know that the excuses that they were doing was bullshit. Oh, one of the comments that stood out to me. Oh, I don't like that bean shaped mouth that they do. Oh, that's so corny. That's so I forget what excuse they call it. But you saw Luca, and Luca had the same mouth. I heard no complaints. I heard, oh, Pixar's trying something new. That's pretty cool. Not, I hate the way the mouths look. You didn't. You didn't hate the colors. You didn't hate the animation style, the artistic style they took. You hate it because there's not a male lead.
Well, not only is there not a male lead, it's they're also not all white. You have Mei's Chinese.
Yes,
Then is it Priya?
Priya. Yeah, she's.
She's
I can't. I
South
don't
Asian,
exactly remember
I
what,
believe. It,
but she's definitely a person of color.
yeah, please forgive me for I saw it once.
Yeah, we saw
I'm
it.
just
Yeah.
trying to do this from memory. And the other girl who is amazing, but
She was actually Korean.
Korean. I knew
Yeah.
she was Korean. I just can't remember her name. I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. You can roast me for that because she's an icon.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my God.
like
She
we
was
love her.
I love her. She was
But,
the feistiest of them
um,
all.
So we're gonna have to rewatch it again. But
Right.
yeah. So you have not only do you have a story that is centered around girls instead of boys,
Mm-hmm.
it's also, instead of it being around white people, you have a multicultural cast and a non-white
Yeah.
lead character.
Yeah.
And if you want to just set off men on Twitter, try explaining that not all media needs to be created for them.
Yeah.
And away it went.
Yeah. And that's the funny part is that
Like,
a whole lot of you that were, you know, roasting this film before it even came out, you weren't getting to the point. You were making excuses, and other people would go, "No, that's not it. Here's another example of where that was being used." And people were like, "Oh, I liked, why can't they do films like Spider-Man Into the
Spider-Verse.
Spider-Verse, which is basically a mixture of 2D and 3D animation." Turning Red did that. You would know if you watched the film and didn't bomb it from the beginning. You know,
Yeah.
it was very quite frustrating because at the end of the day they just didn't want to admit that the guys were being sexist and racist.
And I remember the one tweet. I don't know if I stumbled upon it or if you sent it to me. It screenshot from the film. It was just a picture of May,
Yeah.
I think, just smiling, and a person who appeared male from their account quote tweeted this picture and said, "What even is this?" And I remember somebody else quote tweeted that and said, "It's a girl."
It's a girl. Yeah.
Like,
uh,
and it kind of just summed up the entire thing.
that's really what it was. They like to scapegoat. They like to make excuses about why this film's bad. But at the end of the day, you're just a racist asshole.
Just say that. Just be like, I don't like it because
Yeah.
it's got a Chinese girl in it.
And
Like,
you know what? And if you don't like the
own
film,
it.
that's fine. You don't have to. I'm not saying you have to like the film. You might not like it. Don't make excuses for why you don't like it. Just say you don't like it, and try not to hide the inherent racism that's going to escape your mouth by making excuses. Like at the end of the day, it's still going to show. So just say you don't like it and just leave it at that.
Yeah, and please keep in mind when we say all this, we're not saying, oh, people didn't like the film, so we're calling them racists or sexist. we're talking solely right now, we are talking solely about people who had these opinions before the movie was released.
Yeah.
They had they had not seen the film and they were already panning it.
Uh-huh.
Now, if you go out, you see the or stay in as it is because it's
Yeah.
not even in theaters,
Right.
unfortunately. Disney, what is up with that?
Yeah, that
Um,
was pretty low of you, Disney.
but, but if you watch the movie, and you're just like, you know what, I just didn't like it. It wasn't okay. Fine,
That's
sure.
fine.
But if you're gonna say these things before the movie has even released, like you're not as clever as you think you're being.
No.
Just as a tip, you know, we see what you're doing. So,
And if anything, it just makes you look sadder because you could just admit it and you're trying to hide it, pretending that you're not, but you're setting out a flare, a very, very big flare.
yeah,
Uh,
just own it. Like we're still gonna mock you, but
yeah.
at least just be like, I don't want girls to have any movies they can relate to because I'm a man and I want everything to be about me. Just say it.
Yeah.
Say it. You know?
But
But no.
yeah. And then it didn't end there.
And then the movie was released.
Then the movie was released, and
And then it got weird.
again, I didn't know what the movie was going to be about. Again, I knew, okay, there's a red panda involved. Girls are going to do girl things.
Yeah.
So
And like
you know,
we knew that like May was gonna turn into the red panda, I think.
right?
But
We knew
that
we
was
knew
it.
that
Like,
much. But we were like, okay, but what is this about? Is this about like And the movie was. I watched the movie. I was taken aback. I don't know what I was expecting, but what I got was better than what I was expecting. I laughed a lot. It was a lot of funny jokes, funny scenarios.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then being a female of a certain age, I felt so called out by everything in that movie. I was like, oh no,
Yeah.
I see myself so much in this film right now.
Yeah.
Just being in that age with,
Right.
The things you're going through, trying to establish who are you as a person. Um, the boy band thing felt very called out.
Yeah. I was never into boy bands when I
Well,
was young, but I didn't hate the film because I wasn't into boy
yeah,
bands.
you were like, oh, boy bands are stupid.
I'm more of a Spice Girls kind of guy. I died for the Spice Girls. It was horrible. I mean, I'm over it, but
Hey, Mel C, call him.
Jesus.
What?
Uh, but it didn't end there. The movie was released, and now instead of the racist guys shutting down the film,
Here come the white women.
then came the white moms that were. I'm not sure if you watched the same film as I did, okay? But apparently the lessons that this movie was trying to teach your child, they weren't there. And you're making it up. About how this movie was extremely sexual because a girl doodled on her notebook. I doodled on my notebook when I was young, and I don't think I was sexual.
Literally everybody did that.
Yeah, I mean, it's what kids do. I mean, if your kid doesn't do that, and it's because of you,
Yeah, and guess
God,
what?
I hope that kid gets therapy in
But
the
here's
future.
the thing. Here's a secret to all the parents out there. If you're that strict that you think your kids aren't doodling in their notebooks, they aren't having these conversations, they aren't consuming whatever media,
Or that they don't have crushes.
yeah, they're doing it. They've just gotten so good at hiding it from you because they can't trust you. Let that sink in.
Yeah.
And then when they turn 18 or whatever and move away to college and never call, guess why? Anyway, so back to the notebook.
Apparently, no, but apparently, my favorite one that I saw online was this Christian mom going, I know Disney doesn't, and first of all, again, Pixar, but they're like, I know Disney doesn't teach, Christianity
Christianity
to
Christian
kids,
morals.
but I'm still going to complain that it didn't teach Christianity to my kids. And I was like, okay,
It's about Chinese people.
it is. It is. Um,
Like, I have a news flash for you about what religion a lot
But
of Chinese
that's-
people don't practice.
but that's what gets me is they weren't trying to push that kind of agenda on people.
Yeah.
They were saying this is how we live, and sometimes you don't even have to be Asian descent to realize that kind of structure.
For sure. And like I know a lot of with the good Christian moms that are up in arms,
Oh boy.
they they show that May and her family, they are caretakers of a temple
Hmm.
from, their beliefs. And I feel like oh boy, I can feel the hate comments already, but
You ever seen that meme of the cat and somebody's holding a knife out to the cat and the
yeah, and
cat's
I'm
just
just
doing
like
this?
just like that. Yeah. But and and again, like we said last time, not all men, not all Christians, but the people who say these types of things, when they see another culture, another religion represented, or another belief system,
Hmm.
they consider that an attack on them. It's like, how dare you show this other thing because I personally am a Christian and you can't show anybody else anything else. And that's not entirely right. And I know that also, I saw some comments about that, like, oh, they're showing this like they're heathens and they're doing witchcraft and all. It's like, it's a kids movie, and like, come on.
One of the themes of the movie is they're teaching their kids not to listen to their parents. They literally started off the movie saying, "Hi, my name is May, and I devote my entire life to my family, but I'm learning a lesson about how I have to take care of me too."
And for you know girls especially, and I'm not, I can't speak for boys and men because I am not one, but I know that if you are either like the only daughter or the eldest daughter, whew, that's what happens. You almost become like, your mom is looking at you like, okay, you've got to be me. You have to do this. We do it this way. We do it that way. You can't deviate. And then when the moment comes where you're finally like, hey, I want to do this thing for me, or I want to spend time with this person, or I'd like to try something different. It's like mom takes it as a personal attack. Sorry, mom. But it's and it's just the nature of things, because you're, as a mother-daughter relationship,
Hmm.
it's especially if you're the eldest or the only. And you see that with May, where it's like she's not going wild with a lot of her stuff. She just has, like, her friend, whose name is escaping me. You see that May's mom sees that May is very close to Miriam and her other friends, but the second something comes up, she's like, "Oh, I never liked that Miriam," and it's always has to deflect onto somebody else. It's like, no, May just wants to do her own thing.
Yeah,
Stop blaming everyone else.
yeah.
And then the boy at the convenience store, and it's always something else. And she, the more May wants to just kind of grow into herself, as you do naturally as a person, her mom just kept doing this and this.
It's been shown so many times through history. The more you shelter a kid,
Hmm.
the worse it's going to become. If a kid doesn't get to be a kid,
Make
it
mistakes,
make
live their lives.
mistakes, and I'm not saying horrible mistakes. I'm sure parents can be like, "Hey," and this is sharing wisdom. Don't do this because this might happen. But, how many times does a kid go to their parents and go, "I'm in love and I'm going to marry this person." And the parents are like, "Sure you are." And then they get broken up a week later. The parents' role in this is support.
Hmm.
Don't tell them, "Don't do it, it's just not going to last. You're too young, blah, blah, blah." Let them make their mistakes. Let them come to you when they need the support. They say, "Hey, I got broken up. Hey, this happens. Things like this happen." And that's when a parent should be there for a kid, not trying to keep them away from everything, because the more you do that, the more I feel like you're going to inherently lose
You're
that
gonna
child of
lose,
yours.
yeah, you're gonna lose them. And I'm gonna be honest.
Oh, don't worry. We're going to get the complaints about you guys. Are you guys parents? No, but we
Nope.
have parents and
We
we've had these
Yeah.
conversations.
And guess what? We know enough to know that parenting is not our thing.
No, it's not
It
our
just,
thing.
no.
Have I been told, "Oh, you would make a great father"? Yes, so many times. No, I'm not going to be a father. Can I be a great one? Probably. I don't know,
I,
but
I feel
it's
like I feel like for we both like would just definitely enjoy being like the party, like aunt or the party uncle.
Right.
Like, hey, let's take the kid, do something fun, and drop them back off their
Yeah.
parents. You know, like
I'm gonna feed your kid a shit ton of cotton candy, and I'm
take it
gonna
to the
let
amusement
him
park.
loose on their parents when he's
Yeah.
all riled up, and I'm gonna be like, now it's your problem.
Yeah. So that's more our vibe.
Yeah.
But like you had said about the more you um do those things, and you're going to end up losing that relationship with your child. And I'll talk on it because it is something that kind of came to a head between me and my mother, where if something would happen, there wasn't that support. It was just, oh, well, that was stupid. Or if I would confide in her about something, it was just like a funny joke. And I could never have those meaningful conversations. And over the years, you know, I mean, it's a lifetime. You know, you go back and you just stop telling them things. Like, I, I was in a whole relationship for 7 years. She had no idea because I didn't want her to know, because she would take it and it was always, oh, well, it's their fault or it's this fault. It's everything, blaming everybody for everything. And it eventually got to the point where you just don't get to know anything. You are on a need to know basis. And that's what you could see was starting to happen between these characters, where you have a mom who is so overbearing, blaming her friends, blaming her crush, you know, acting this way. And then finally, you know, May was like, I'm just not going to tell her.
Yeah.
I'm going to start lying. I'm going to be sneaky. And it's that environment that causes you to be that way.
Yeah. I mean, you're forcing a hand by you. If you think, oh, this is the right thing to do, is to be super strict on a child. And I'm not saying that, oh, Asian parents are bad. No. I'm not Asian,
Yeah,
and
neither am I, obviously.
my family grew up with very strict rules. My mother, the oldest one out of, I think, the six siblings,
Mhm.
brothers and sisters she has, she was the oldest. She had to do everything. She didn't get to have fun. She didn't get to play around and do all these things because she had to help grandmother cook, clean, and make sure everything's good for all the kids that. But
The word for
but
that
it's
is parentification, but we'll get into that in
right,
the next little part of this
right.
podcast.
But that's the thing. It can be overbearing, and it doesn't. The good thing about a film is it's film. It's gonna have a happy ending. Some of these endings don't end
Mhm.
happily in real life.
Yeah, because how many, like, you know, we touched on there, how many times were there kids who didn't feel safe in their own home
Yeah.
because um they couldn't tell their parents anything in confidence, or if they got a B instead of an A on a test, they knew they were going to get grounded, so they just would hide it from their
Yeah.
family. And it just starts to snowball, and before you know it, off to college or move out at 18, whatever it is. Excuse me there. And that's it. You see him at Christmas, if that,
Yeah.
and you just go your separate ways. And it doesn't end well, and you don't want to see that. And it's lucky that in this film, you know, because they can control the ending, like Al
Right.
said, you didn't have that. And I feel like the mothers that are so upset about the messages in Turning Red see a little bit too much of themselves in May's mom.
Mm.
Because if they're watching that and they see, as a mother, you watch the film, you see the kid grow up. It goes from being their bosom buddy all the time, every second, following in your footsteps. Everything you do, they do exactly the same. And then all of a sudden, that separation just starts, as it naturally
Yes.
does. They see that. They
Yeah.
see that when looking at their own children.
Yeah.
They see it. They see that the kid comes out okay at the end, and that they don't want that. They want their kids to be here. They want their kids to stay in that nest and to follow in those same paths that the parents did.
Hmm.
And they look at it and say, oh, the kid disobeyed or the kid didn't respect them. And that's not what really happened. And if I would argue that May and her mom's relationship at the end of the film
Yeah.
is so much better than
It
what it
is
was at the beginning.
100% better.
Yeah, because instead of looking at it, the mom looking at May and saying, "Oh, that's my little girl,"
Right.
they say, "That is a woman I am proud to be raising,"
Right.
and you know she's going to take the morals, take the
Yeah.
values but be her own person.
Yeah,
And I feel like that's what you want
yeah,
of
and
your,
in
for
the
your
end,
kids.
not a lot changed. The things that changed were for the better, good. But the child was still supporting her mom. She
Mhm.
was still at the temple. She was still taking care
Yeah, if anything,
of
she
what
made
they
them even better.
cherish. Yeah,
But
exactly.
and the whole thing with the panda, like where it was everybody, all the other women in their family got rid of the panda. They couldn't control it. They didn't want it, whatever their reasons were. And it's a personal reason. And yes, I'm pretty sure that was a very heavy-handed allegory. But um May choosing to keep that as a part of her, you know, because two things can be important to you at once. Your own identity and embracing who you are and who you want to be, while also appreciating where you came from and the people who raised you and surrounded you.
Right.
So, by and then May's mom accepting that she made that choice, it doesn't change who May is.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, for all those mothers out there, they're like, this movie is very sexual.
why are you sexualizing children?
Yeah, for real. Why are you
What
doing
is
that?
wrong with you?
Uh, because what do girls just not flirt? Do they not get like, crushes when they're in school? I guess in
No,
their
we
life they
absolutely
don't.
do.
They're super stale women who just nothing.
Yeah,
Like they see
we're
guys and they're
nuns.
like,
We're nuns.
yeah, they see
We're
boys and
not
they're like,
nuns.
ew, boys.
Yes, but that doesn't stop you from having crushes on them
Right,
or
right.
girls. You know.
But that's the thing. This is a part of growing up. Girls, and correct me if I'm wrong, develop quicker than guys. Their their brain evolves quicker than guys.
Girl, girls do tend to mature a little
Right.
faster. Forever.
What I saw in the film, nothing compared to in real life. Nothing. And I still can't say that, oh, girls are horny. No, guys are horny. Guys are
That's
perverts.
just because we hide it better than you can.
And that could possibly be so. They could hide it better. But
I mean,
these
like it's literally easier for us to hide it. So,
okay, we could
like
sure. We can go on that aspect. Sure.
it's true, you know.
um, but and one of the things that they kept pointing out was that, oh, the friends were a bad influence. You can't.
No, but they weren't.
They weren't. They
They were
absolutely were
kids.
not. If anything, she's glad that she was able to keep them as friends after what she did in the film. Um,
Yeah,
for her
yeah,
mother.
for her mother. Her mother
Um,
almost drove away every friend that she had in her life. Oh, that hit a little too close to home.
and I get I get the fear in it. I get that. Oh, I've raised my child perfect, and if they have this bad influence from outside of the family, then I'm going to lose that child. Life is a thing, and you can't barricade your child away from a life experience. You have to teach him and hope that with the wisdom that you pass down and your knowledge that they can choose a good friend and they can choose supportive friends that are going to be there for them. Sometimes a child might make the wrong decision and hang out with the wrong crowd. It happens. I am thankful that I had a mother that shared her wisdom and didn't lock me up and said, "Hey, you know, don't do this, don't do that. You shouldn't get yourself into trouble. Don't hang out with the wrong kind of people." I listened and I searched for friends that weren't like, "Hey, let's go drive and speed in the highway or something, or let's go do drugs."
Yeah, let's go do drugs under the bleachers, man.
There are those kinds of people out there. I didn't make friends with them because my mom taught me better. It wasn't that she held a tight leash on me. It was literally her saying, "I'm going to warn you about this, and if you choose to do it anyways,
Deal with the consequences.
deal with the consequences."
And I mean, it's the same thing. Like I've told you before, where growing up in my household, alcohol was never a big deal. Like from a very young age, I had my ginger ale with a little bit of wine in it, you know, for fancy dinners.
But point of reference, there was no alcohol in this movie. No,
No, I'm just
no,
saying, but
yeah,
an example.
right,
And growing up, you know, they told you if you drink too much, you can get sick or you can get in trouble. But it was also something where if I was curious, I could safely participate in this activity. And then growing up, I knew to make smarter choices. Like when my friends would be like, "Oh, let's go get drunk," I'm like, "It's not that big a deal. Like,
Yeah.
why is this a thing?" So it's all about different lessons you can teach your kid without just locking them, like in a closet and keeping them there until you deem them adult enough to go
Yeah.
live. Um,
But again, but I mean, credit goes to Pixar because they make amazing movies, and some of the hidden tones in this movie, I personally, I guess I can't relate because I'm not a girl, but I know that the panda was actually sort of like a symbolism for something else.
yeah, straight up, it was just a puberty
Yeah, it was
symbolism,
it was basically women
and
hitting puberty
it
or girls hitting puberty. Sorry.
yeah, but it for the essentially because like we actually watched the secondary not secondary but the
Behind the
making
films,
of
yeah, making up.
Turning Red, and one of the people who worked on the film said, think about it, all of a sudden it's like you're hairy, you smell bad, your body's out of whack, you don't know what's going on, um and that's confusing on its own, and then you're trying to navigate, like, is that boy cute, oh my god, my mom's so weird, and like all these different things that are happening, and to show that sometimes there are things going on in your life that are easier to confide in, like your friends.
Right.
And May was very lucky. She had a very strong group of friends. And those friendships, sometimes can get you through that better than an overbearing mom throwing maxi pads at
Yeah.
you. you
And I
know?
mean, when we grew up, and this is still true today as it was when in our time when we were in high school or middle school or whatever, we spend way more time in school than we do with our own families. And obviously, mothers are not going to be there all the time. Fathers are not going to be there all the time. You're going to have teachers, and you're going to have your close group of friends that are going to take care of you. And I think it's up to parents to allow that to happen, to be like, hey, I know that she has a strong group of friends that won't just let her suffer. And I mean, going through comments again, there were people who were saying, yeah, my mom didn't teach me about period. I discovered that on my own. And that poor girl was, in the restroom wondering what the hell's happened until a teacher finally was like, hey, my student's been gone for way too long. And goes, and the teacher has to explain what's happening.
Because it goes back again to parents not wanting to acknowledge their kids are growing up. If you just pretend,
Acknowledge reality.
well, it's like you just pretend it's not going to happen.
Right.
And then when it happens and your kid panics, it's like,
Yeah.
then you like, oh, well, it's not a big deal. Well, then why didn't you explain it? Why didn't you say why this happens or why you feel this way or why they should or shouldn't do something?
Yeah.
Explain it.
And there's many women out there that were commenting saying, God, I wish my mother would have warned me about what was going to happen. And I'm not saying that all mothers warn their children. There are
Mhm.
a good handful, most of them probably, that do when they're not, having a tight grip on their child from getting older, because it's a thing that happens.
And parents don't real and we're talking about mothers at this point, but um they don't realize what they're doing, and when the kids unfortunately sometimes will say, hey, you did this thing and it made me feel this way, or you did that or said this and it upset me, you have the parents that go like full drama. I'm just doing my best. I'm sorry. I'm a bad parent. I do everything. How do you think your kid's going to react?
And now your kid needs therapy.
Yeah. So now your kid will literally, again, not talk to you about anything because that's the response they're going to get.
Yeah.
But luckily, the ending was very happy for May and her mom.
Yes.
And I feel like the whole family, all the ladies in that family,
They all.
you could tell they all came together.
Even the grandmother with
Yeah.
the daughter.
Yeah, and it was really it did also show, like, not to just harp on the negative side of things.
Right.
The camaraderie that comes with, like, your sisterhood, if you will, your
Right.
friends, uh, you know, the women in your life, your aunts, just kind of come together, because that's I don't know how guys like circle the wagons, but when it comes down to it, women supporting women, we love to see that. And you really got a good look, because it was friends, it was extended family, it was mom, it was just everybody there together, and
Yeah.
it was just kind of a really powerful thing to
Yeah.
see. Like, we all that we do need to all stick together
Yeah.
when it
And
comes
mind
down
you,
to it.
dad was there. It wasn't like dad didn't exist. She had a father figure, and he was
He was,
extremely
yeah, and he
supportive.
was very supportive of May, and I think there was a point there where he understood
Hmm.
what May was going through far more than her mother, because the dad was acknowledging, she's growing up, she needs to have some more freedom, she needs to be able to do what she's interested in, and spend time with her
Right.
friends. And mom was like, no. um and I feel like, just to kind of circle back, the portrayal of the dad, I feel like, also set off some gentlemen out there, because there's dad supporting his boss babe of a wife, washing the dishes, cooking the food, taking care, being a more quiet role.
Yeah.
Still a very powerful role in that family,
Hmm.
but he took on the traditional female tasks of cooking and cleaning and tending to the house and supporting the
Yeah.
breadwinner. And then the mom was out of the house in her, her power suit out there,
Yeah. I
running
think it
things,
was just a
you know,
mixture of all these things that got
yeah,
guys all
getting all
butthurt
whipped up.
about the whole.
Um,
Oh man, would
but
like.
but I think it was great to see, because like, for like you especially, you are a very the difference between masculinity and toxic masculinity.
Right.
You are a very masculine person, but in the sense that you aren't afraid to go bake a cake or clean the house,
I
or
love cakes.
yeah, he
I
does love.
shouldn't eat
He
them as
makes the
often as I do,
he
but
makes the best chocolate cake. But so you look at that father and you're like, well, that checks out. He's supporting his family. He's doing this stuff. He's a good man.
yeah. And
Where
he was there for both his daughter and his
and his
wife.
wife. Um, but then you have men who see that and they feel like he's not a real man. How did they emasculate him like this by making him wash the
No,
dishes?
because a real father would open up the newspaper nowadays and go, "Not my problem. You handle it."
Hmm.
Because that's
Yeah,
that's a great dad, by the way.
yeah. Where you had this dad that really, very obviously cared for his family, did what he needed to do,
Yeah.
watched out for his daughter, didn't just say, "Oh, well, I don't know anything about girls. I don't," and there were the funny moments where he was like, "What's going on?" Because it's not his thing, but he still made a point to be there for May, to talk to her, to say, "I support you. I want to,
Yeah.
do what we can do." When she had to make the choice to keep her panda or get rid of her panda,
Right.
and he saw how happy she was as the panda,
Right.
and he sat down with her and said, "This is your choice. It made me happy to see this, but it's up to you.
Yeah.
If you want to remove this from your life, it's up to you. I will
He
not make that choice for
he
you."
gave her a choice.
Yes.
He didn't just say, "Delete this" or "You can't be this." He said, "I'm gonna give you my opinion. You take that as you want, but just know that I'm still gonna be your father, and I'm still, proud of you."
Yeah, and that was that. I feel like that moment there was just a very powerful moment between her and her dad.
I'm gonna say this. That's very rare to find in a father. I've known a lot of people where I don't think, besides like a very select few, and I know, if she's watching this, I know your father is one of those people, those men, those father figures that they did a good job. Like I don't know them since they were young. I don't know much about them, but from what I do know, and from what my friend has told me, her father, so he's a good man. He did his job well.
Yeah, mine wasn't. I think he's still alive somewhere in Florida.
Florida.
Yeah,
Well, that speaks
he
volumes.
scammed a widow out of her money and her boats and her kids' college funds. Oh
Right.
well.
Let's pause
So
it there.
it is very heartwarming to see these father figures, like, and you kind of look at it, you're almost sad. It's like, I wish I had that, you know, and just to see that, it's like, there's hope. There's hope for everyone else, and you do love to see it. So to kind of wrap up our little discussion that we're having about Turning Red, we I did talk a lot about how I could relate to some of the things May was going through with her mother, but I do just want to clarify that yes, I did have those issues, but part of that was I was lucky in a way that I didn't lose touch with my mother, all this time, and that as me being a full adult, we're able to kind of work through that and better understand why she was the way she was, why I was the way I was, why we are the way we are. Um, Still need therapy though, you know, to kind of go through all that. And I feel like a lot of the issues, both in Turning Red, my own life, um, that kind of that generational issue where your mom experienced something when she was a girl or when she was growing up, and now that her experiences shape how she wants you to experience your experiences, and that stress, those worries, just keep getting passed down. You saw it with how May's mom was terrified of her panda and did not want her daughter to go through that.
Yeah.
Um, and just that those problems, those concerns that are passed down generation to generation, and it's like you're already born with this burden of, the or be it an expectation or a fear or whatever it may be. Um, and she was lucky to overcome that. And I know that another recent film that I think the entire world has seen. You've seen it, right?
Yeah.
Because I know it's Disney, it's not Pixar,
Yeah.
but
But I saw it.
I know Encanto. Encanto hit very hard for a lot of people for a lot of these same reasons.
Oh yeah.
Um, because there you had abuela or abuelita,
Same.
who I don't know what they called her in the movie. She had this horrific thing happen to her, and now she has her three kids. Look, they have magic powers, and those magic powers then helped the family. They built casita. They have this relationship with their community. And then it became the pressure of, okay, well, the next generation, oh, you have to have your powers. You have to be able to do this. And then you have poor Mirabelle, who doesn't have any powers, and she's let her family down, and all those expectations of what she was supposed to do and who she was supposed to be, and the way her family treats her because she did not meet those expectations. Of course, Disney happy ending,
Oof.
but it was rough. That was hard to watch for Mirabelle, but when Louisa came in, oh boy, let me tell you, when Miss Louisa showed up with her jacked arms and her donkeys, like,
Were they
I
even her donkeys? I
I
don't
think they were
remember.
everybody else's
Yeah.
donkeys. But like, talk about expectations heaped on you by your family and the community
Yeah.
and everything around you. Oh my god. I had to stop the film and
It's,
get up and like leave the room because I I mean, I felt that in my soul,
yeah.
because your parents expect things of you. Your parents then talk to other people who then expect those things from you. And before you know it, you have all of these expectations, all of this work, all of this pressure on you. And God forbid you slip up one time, or you say you're tired one time, or you need a break one time. Everything crushes and falls apart, and it's all your fault. And
It's a lot to put on somebody.
yeah, and I feel like, and that is a learned thing too, because it starts with your parents, or in Encanto with abuela, and then before you know it, you're allowing everybody to put
Hmm.
that weight on you because you don't know any different.
Yeah.
And I know, like, I mean, I didn't have to carry around anybody's donkeys. Did I have to carry around a few jackasses? Yes, but not literal donkeys.
This jackass though.
No, I would never call you a jackass.
She would call me worse.
I call you a burrito.
Yeah. Her dog calls me worse.
My dog is not racist.
She is.
She's
100%
not racist. I won't accept this slander against my dog. But I just know my experience, you have your parents who, like, I was I was one of those gifted and talented kids. Like, I did not get less than an A on a report card until I think my junior year of high school.
Yeah.
So like, you had those expectations. I always did my little volunteering with the dogs, so then everybody knew me as the dog person, and I had to be in 3 choirs and this extracurricular, and I had to be the editor of that, and it was so much. And then I get into my job, as I start working, as I get out of school, and it's like, well, I have to do everything all of the time, and if I don't do it, it's not going to get done, and everybody expects me to do this thing, and before you know it, everything is just on top
Yeah.
of you, and you're gonna have a nervous
Yeah.
breakdown. Al's seen me have, I think, two really good ones.
I think so.
I know there was one really good one. And then there's a couple, but it's like you almost you can't function outside that pressure. And it all started from the family
Yeah.
because they had expectations that either they met and feel that they should be easy for you to meet,
Mhm.
or the flip side, they had things that they felt should be achieved that they could not or didn't. And now the pressure is on you to go out there and fulfill the dreams that they had or the expectations that they couldn't
Yeah.
meet.
And some of these expectations aren't even verbally said, you know? Sometimes you have them because you see it and they don't tell you they're expecting this from you. But from your life experience, you kind of feel like if I don't do this, I'm a huge disappointment, you know?
Is that relatable content for you?
Oh yeah. Not necessarily through Encanto, but
No.
but like Pixar has a way of going after your throat. At some point,
Everybody,
not every film, like
yeah.
not every film goes after people,
There's a film to trigger everyone.
but they won't stop until they've triggered every single person in this world. And I stand for this. Like I'm 100% supporting Pixar for.
What's yours? Come on,
I had one actually.
out
It
with it.
was it's unconventional, I guess. But mine wasn't like Encanto or Coco because they know, the themes
Coco
there.
was messed up in a whole different way.
Yeah, Coco was, but I think that more, I don't come from that kind of family. Um, our family, we have a strong connection, and we help each other out, aunt, uncle, whatever, because not everybody in my family turned out to be great. We always have that one person that causes stress. Um, my grandmother, being the lady who she is, she doesn't care. She loves all her children. You know, whether it causes her a ton of stress or not, and all the other siblings are obviously taking care of her because they know what she's been through, and they're like, "Hey, you need to stop because you're harming her over anything else." But with me, it was more Monsters University that I feel like went really after my throat. Um,
That was definitely a Pixar blockbuster. That one.
that one, yeah. Oh boy, because everybody was like, "Oh, it's a prequel to Monsters Inc." Oh, and Monsters Inc. was more how to because that didn't go after my throat. I think that was a great movie. Don't get me wrong, but for Monsters Inc.
Yeah,
it
Monsters
was
Inc. was definitely still in the "what if monsters had feelings" kind of
yeah,
era of
yeah,
Pixar.
because Pixar likes to make everything feel things. Uh, but for me, it was Monsters University and I think I was able to see everything that Mike Wazowski was seeing, and he connected with me in a level that I was not expecting. Like, look, it's Mike
You weren't
Wazowski when he
prepared for
was
that.
young. Like, I thought he was just gonna be a gag. Like, oh yeah, that's gonna be funny. Um, and then I started seeing more and more of him in me when I was in college, and how badly I wanted to succeed.
I did everything right. I wanted it more than anyone. And I thought if I wanted it enough, I could show everybody that Mike Wazowski is something special. And I'm just not.
Like, I graduated high school, and I had my it was all set. Like, there was no like, oh, hesitation. No, I'm gonna graduate high school. What am I doing next? College. I'm gonna go to college, and I'm gonna finish college. Um, as I said in the intro, my college experience was shit. I still finished it though because I was like, I have to at least do this. Um, but when since my family is not originally from here, we immigrated here. College is not something that is seen in a or pursued highly in a third world country. Third world country is more like we survived, yay! unfortunately, that's how life is in some other countries. That there's life comes first, and education is something that if you can afford it, you
Like
you do
more of
it.
a
But if
luxury
not,
kind of thing.
because my like when it comes to generational trauma, my family had that. My mother, like I said, I had to take care of everybody, and I think I don't give my mom credit enough because she didn't continue that generational trauma. Um, she, you know, was the girl. She had to cook. She had to clean. She shouldn't play sports. There's other things that you should be doing rather than playing sports and getting an education. My mom got an education. She fought for it. Like her parents were against her. And I don't think more so my grandmother than my grandfather. My grandfather was very strict and he was like, no, you're going to help in the house. You're not going to get yourself an
Woman's
education.
place is in the kitchen and taking care of the
Pretty much.
kids.
And my mom was very, very much against it. She did everything she could. She didn't ask my grandfather for any money because she knew he wasn't going to give it to her. Not that he didn't take care of his kids. He took care of his kids, but in his own terms. And school was not one of those options. And she'd tell me stories about how she played these sports and did anything she could to gain money to be able to, afford an education. Um, Not in this country. And eventually she moved over to this country, and this country couldn't give two damns about her education. Didn't count for anything, you know? So out of my mother's side and my father's side, since they split up, I was one of the first ones that in this country pursued a higher education. My father didn't. Most of my uncles and aunts didn't. I have a few aunts, on one of my two on my father's side that pursued it. But as far as like my generation, you know, basically all the cousins, I was the first one there, and I said, hey, yeah, I'm gonna pursue this, and they threw a party, as one does. You think it's normal, and they like were congratulating me. They're very proud of me. It wasn't a bad experience, but they felt like, wow, look, he did it. He came to, the United States and he got an education. He has a college degree. He's going to go above where any of us can go, Like the second they stepped into this country, they knew that their bar was set here and they weren't either through their means or an outside force, they wouldn't be able to cross that bar,
But now
you know?
here you are with your college education,
And
and
here I am in my college
they're
education.
expecting,
The,
you know,
I guess some were expecting me to go above and beyond, and um, they thought that this is going to change things now. And that was the thing with Pixar. It was like, oh hey, here's a college, here's college. He obviously got kicked out of it. But it doesn't mean that he couldn't go to another college. But it was one of those where it doesn't matter what intentions you go after, you might
sometimes
still not succeed.
and sometimes it doesn't matter how hard you work.
And sometimes it doesn't matter how hard you work. And when I was in school, I was very much in the mindset that I want this. Like, I need this degree and I need to help my family come out of this position we're in, this set bar. Um, so that was a thing. And I think the party happened. It wasn't when I graduated college. I think it was before, because I graduated high school and that's it. And they're like, "We're so proud of you that you're going to go to college. You're going to be the better of us." And no matter how hard I tried, I feel like even with my degree, I'm still at that bar. Like I haven't surpassed it. I just spent 5 years of money, lots of money, and in the end, I have nothing to show for it. And when that happened in that movie, oh, I had to take a drink because I was like, this is a lot.
Well, I remember when back when we really first when we really first met, and you were talking about how much you love Pixar, and you had said to me when we were having one of our deep conversations. Sorry about that, still, but you had said that Monsters University really hit hard, um, and then I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna watch this movie. And literally 5 minutes into it, I was like, oh no, because I could kind of see where it was gonna go,
Yeah.
and I can see how you had that reaction to it. But I feel like I'm obligated to point out that even though it did not go the way Mike and Sully anticipated,
It didn't.
it
They
still
still
worked
got
out
it
okay.
worked out, and that's
You know?
but that's
Yeah.
the magic behind film is that, oh, look, it didn't turn out the way they thought, but
But it could
sometimes real life
still work out okay, Al.
but sometimes real life you don't get
Sometimes
to
doesn't.
have a Pixar ending, you know?
Yes,
In
as
some life it's like,
look,
yeah, you tried hard and there was something that you couldn't pass, and that was an outside force. It wasn't something that Mike Wazowski was messing up with. It was just
well, there's a quote from a great British captain. Um and it is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose.
yeah,
And that's not failure.
yeah,
That's just life.
yeah.
That great captain. Uh his name's John Luke Picard. But
Yeah.
it's a great quote, and actually I cling to that, and I feel like that's something that kind of ties into that experience. And by no means do I think you truly have lost. I think there's plenty of time for you to do what you want to do, and we're not going to share it because we manifest those things privately.
Yes.
But
Uh,
you know,
but no,
yeah.
yeah, it's one of those things. Pixar just the people behind that company, the directors, the writers, they really know how to get to you. And people need to remember, these films are not just for kids, you know? There are things that you watch, and as a kid, you're like, huh, this is great. There's monsters and whatever. It's when you rewatch it when you're older and you're like, wow.
Yeah. And especially when you're older and you're rewatching them, and then you think about it, and you're like, these stories that are being told, they're being told by people who lived those stories,
Mhm.
because somebody who, be it went to school or whatever happened to them, it didn't go as planned.
It didn't.
They could have worked their butts off and it got derailed, and then finally they got the chance to tell
Yeah.
that story.
I mean, there's tons
You
of
know.
people that go to college and they're dead set on what they want to do. And then they graduate and they're like, this wasn't for me. I have,
Oh, that's well. If I had ended up being able to go to the college I wanted,
yeah,
I was going to be an English language major. And I don't mean like writing, I mean like the study of how the English language works.
right.
And here I am at now after all these years, and I'm I'm a highly experienced and skilled veterinary technician.
How does the English language work? Because I think it's bullshit.
I'll make a short film about the fish thing, and I'll explain it to you, and
Yeah,
you're gonna want to punch a wall.
probably. I already want to punch a wall sometimes with the English
As
language.
usually, yeah.
Yeah,
But Spanish is so much easier.
yeah.
Spanish makes sense.
But I feel like that's what brings us back all the way to Turning Red is your kids are gonna watch this film and they're not gonna look at this film the way you guys are looking at it. They're gonna look at this film and be like, "Oh, yay, friends and a red panda and
Ha ha
colors,
ha! Funny this.
funny." They're not gonna get that because those themes that make you question, like, "Do I need therapy? Am I okay?" You know, that comes
Yeah,
later
those are for
when they're
us.
adults and they can already make their own decision anyways by
Yeah,
then.
because that was I
You
think
know?
that was the great thing about Turning Red. It's like they addressed what it's like to be the kid, um, in the moment,
Yeah.
like for the people who are maybe like that 11 to 15 range, that age. It addressed, like for somebody in my age group, what it was like for us, but also keeping in mind that the adults are probably watching these films with their kids. It also had a story and a moral and a lesson for the parent figure to learn.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel like sometimes that's hard. It's even harder when you have to learn the adult lessons in the
Yeah.
movie. The kid lessons a little bit easier sometimes, but when there's those ones that like hit home when you're watching it is at 25, 35, 45,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah,
But
if you learn anything from today, it's stop being racist. It's just a kids' film.
things are allowed to be about girls. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay, Kyle. They're gonna make more movies about boys.
Kyle or Mark.
You're
or,
not being discriminated against, Kyle.
or Mark or Steven or
Chad.
Chad.
We're talking to you, Chad.
Lord. Thank God I never knew a Chad in my life.
Yeah, I don't think I ever knew a Chad.
Yeah.
But
no.
we digress. So that was our little discussion on that Turning Red. We think it's a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
Obligatory. We are not affiliated with Disney or Pixar. We don't speak for them, the company, or any of their creative people.
But if they want to sponsor us,
Oh my gosh.
no.
I don't think. No,
No.
that seems like a lot of red tape.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Nah.
We appreciate it. But no, that's one book. We're going to pass on that.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to send us their Turning Red fan art, though, we always appreciate that. You can tweet that to us.
Yeah. Link down below.
Links are below. Feel free to look us up there. We'd love to see. We actually genuinely would love to see your fan art because Al being an artist and this is his.
Or the memes that you guys can create.
Yes,
from
we
that
love
movie.
memes.
Oh
Please,
my
please
God.
send memes. And also, if you have any good like Chad and Karen content, please send that our way as well. We that's just for our own personal enjoyment. I can't guarantee it'll make it into a podcast, but we do love to see it.
Oh, we do.
Yeah, and we're definitely gonna talk about some other Pixar movies down the way because that is such a big thing.
Oh, very much so. Very much so.
So I mean, if there are any, be it Pixar, Disney, Marvel, any films out there that you think we might have something to say about, or you want us to talk about, let us know. I mean, we're down for anything.
You know what? I can't wait.
What?
When we discuss about whose team are we in, Captain America or Iron Man. That's gonna be
That's gonna be the one time you're gonna see us actively screaming at each other. I might cry, so stand by for that one.
Yeah.
But
that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast.
Yay.
And we'll see you again next time.
Bye.
Bye.